Okay, Sadhguruji, let me take you away from this and let me take you to a world of, say, films.
World of films, okay, let's go. Let's go movies.
Years ago, when films started and, through the 60s, 70s, there were lovely stories, nice values, beautiful music, lyrics. By the time I was the star in movies, some of our jhatka matkas might have shocked the previous generations and they must have said, what is all this? But it was still within limits.
Whose limits?
I mean, what's acceptable to society? Whatever. I mean, I'll say, and then now, today, the complexion of films, the kind of films we see, it's little clothes, it's live-in relationships are, up there on screen for everybody to see, and nightclub culture. I mean, it sometimes worries me that my children are growing up now. This is what they're seeing. These are the kind of songs that they're listening to. The lyrics are about,
From Janam Janam to expiry date songs.
Yes. So this is what they're watching. This is what they think is cool. This is the hip and happening stuff. I'm
I think
little
by the
concerned.
time you came, the Janam Janam was over, isn't it?
No, it was still there. It was in the middle somewhere. The music was wonderful. The lyrics were still lovely. But today it is Munni Badnaam ho gayi, and things have really moved to chewing gums, and I am forgetting at this moment what the lyrics are. But then it's shallow right now. India has the youngest population in the world right now. So with such a young nation growing up on this is the feed. This is what you see, this is what you hear. I'm just a little concerned as to what they will turn out to be.
I'm sure your parents were concerned too.
Okay, so can
I'm sure my parents were very concerned when I was growing up. So every parent has this concern, every generation has this concern that the next generation is going wrong, always. I understand what you're saying. This sudden change, if every generation likes to go one step beyond where the previous generation has stepped in, on almost everything, just for the sake of doing something different, or it's natural, they've grown up in one atmosphere, they take it to another level.
The next level.
Yes. Next is not always next. That's what you're saying. Next is not always next, right?
Yes, it's not higher, it's somewhere else,
It's just next. So, this concern is always there, but right now, the change that is happening is not the next. It is a serious influence because in the last 15 years, the world's ability to communicate across cultures and borders is so heavy and so unprecedented. Nobody has ever been used to this kind of influences before, okay, never before. This level of influence on our young people, never before possible, no other generation has ever experienced this kind of onslaught from so many directions, and the volume of influence is too big. So, in terms of changes that are happening, it is not next, it is simply somewhere and nobody knows where it is because it's too complex and too mixed. Nobody knows where it is, including the young people, it's just a mix of things. So this is because of a sudden onslaught of information and communication. It is not for us to judge whether it's good or bad, it is just that definitely this level of information. When I say information, it's like when we were growing up, I believe it was true for your generation also, we never knew what is boredom, okay? There was no such thing, we were just excited about everything that came our way. But you see today 12-year-old kids, if you tell them what, oh.
Yes.
You see, they're
Yes.
just bored because they know the whole cosmos, they've seen it on their phone screen, not even on a computer screen. On the phone screen, they've seen entire cosmos, they know everything. Things that you do not know, they know, you ask them, they know it.
Yes.
By information. By the time they're 18, they have had 5 love affairs and gone. In the Western world, it's like that. Here also it's beginning to happen, okay? So by the time they're 18, they've seen everything that you need to see with body, mind, emotion, okay? By the time they're 25, what? What next?
What next?
No.
Yes.
You will see, this is not my wish, but this is something that I see, the way people's minds are working, the way they're being laden with information. I'm not by any standards a pessimistic person, but I'm just seeing this. If this level of information continues and it'll multiply manifold for the coming generations, you should not be surprised in the next 50 to 100 years, if 50% of the human population choose to commit suicide, you should not be surprised, because that is what will happen to the mind. Somebody's clapping, look at this, it's popular.
No, you've just touched a chord, that's…
No,
I
I'm
mean,
saying,
I think we realize something…
today, this day, more people commit suicide in this world than all the wars and murders and accidents manage to kill. So more people are on self-help already than murderers, warmongers, bad drivers, everything put together. More people are on self-help. And if this level of information onslaught continues on human mind, I know the nature of mind absolutely, because I know my mind. I know how it works, what it can handle, what it cannot do. I know it clearly what human mind is. That's the reason why I don't have to read people's books or listen to their entire thing. If they say one sentence, I know what their mind is, because I know the structure of human mind entirely. Otherwise, I won't be who I am. So I'm saying this, if this level of information onslaught continues at the same pace or at higher pace, which is possible in the next few years, this will definitely lead to wanting to terminate yourself, because there will be nothing to live for. There is no joy and excitement about anything. You please watch your children. By the time they're 12, 15, they're just bored. You look back at your own life. Those of you who are over 50 years of age, just look back at your own life. When you were 12, 15, was there any room for you to get bored about anything? Simply you were excited about every little thing, isn't it? Today you will see it's almost a common feature. 12, 15-year-old kids are just bored. Only thing is…
Yes, they're all on iPads, iPhones,
Because
yes, they're on gadgets.
we're talking about love and life, all this will not mean nothing. Because you had one love affair when you were 18 years of age, you thought this is your life and you're going to willing to die for it, whether you died for it or not, but at least at that time you thought you'll die for it, okay? Today on Facebook they have 22 love affairs going simultaneously. It just means nothing. I'm not saying they should have it or not have it, all I'm saying is, this will lead to a certain overload on the mind, and suddenly a human being will think, why am I here? You know that big Shakespearean question, to be or not to be?
Yes.
This is not the most intelligent question. Unfortunately, people think so. This is only because you have not been touched by life. You are not a piece of life, you're just a psychological case. You're full of thoughts and emotions. You have not touched life at all. You think your thoughts and emotions are life? No. Your thoughts and emotions are the drama that you're creating in your mind. It is your cinema. You must be able to end it somewhere. If you do not know how to put the end, then it's going on endless cinema, you're going crazy. Life is happening here. You know, your work is not life, your family is not life, your career is not life, your cinema is not life, your thought is not life, your emotion is not life. Life is happening here. Everything else is accessories to life. Now, the frills of life have become larger than life itself. Life is entirely missed. If you touch life within you, then it's an explosion of energy. When such a thing never happens to you, because you have information about the whole cosmos on your phone screen, you will never be touched by life because too much information, too much thought. Even emotion is drying up, too much thought. This has happened. If you look at European philosophy in the last 150 years, you will see, if you read Dostoevsky, you will want to commit suicide. Brilliant, intellectually brilliant, but you will wonder, why are you alive? Because intellect is like that. If you wake up in the morning, devoid of touching any life's experience within you. Don't think about your child's face, do not think about the flowers in the garden, birds in the sky, nothing beautiful that ever touched you. Just think logically. You have to get out of bed, that's not a small feat. You have to brush your teeth, breakfast, go to work, eat, sleep, again tomorrow morning same thing. Next 50 years you have to do the same process every day. If you look at it 100% logically and intellectually, you will have no reason to live tomorrow morning. It's only if you're touched by something, suddenly it's worth living. If you're not touched by anything, then it's not worth living. What is so worth living about a human being? Waking up in the morning, trudging through life every day, eating, sleeping, same rubbish, what is the point? There is no point. Unless you're touched by something, some magic of life, if it doesn't touch you, either in the form of love, or in the form of a flower, or in the form of something within you, if something doesn't sparkle within you, definitely there is a question whether I should live or not, isn't it? And we are taking humanity in that direction with this overload of information. Information is not knowing, information is just garbage collection. You just gather things which don't mean anything to you. You look smart in a tea party, but you're not smart with life, okay? If you're smart with life, you must be blissful, isn't it? If you're really smart with life, you must be joyful and blissful, isn't it so? You're only smart in a tea party because, when somebody is talking something, the galaxy Z22, what happens there? Everybody, wow. They can also open the internet and the same thing, you think this guy visited the galaxy?
So Sadhguruji, then what is it? Okay, so for all of us, give us in clear, simple sentences, do this and you will be at least on the way to being blissful or happy or aware or living in a nice conscious way.
If you just observe, if everybody makes a little effort, everybody take a little time for this piece of life, okay? Not for your family, not for your career, not for something else. Just for this piece of life, give it little time because this is the most important piece of life in your life, isn't it? Yes or no? Even if you're in love with somebody, still this is the most important piece of life, isn't it? So pay some attention to this. How does it happen? Why have you taken it for granted? Believe me, you're not going to be here forever. I'll bless you with a long life, but you're going to fall dead one day. Yes or no?
Yes.
So, do not take this for granted. If you wake up in the morning, tomorrow if you wake up in the morning… No, this is not my wish, but I want you to know, of all the people who go to bed tonight, over 1 million people will not wake up tomorrow morning. And tomorrow, if you and me wake up tomorrow morning, is it not a fantastic thing? 1 million people did not wake up, you woke up. Is it not a great thing? Just look at the ceiling and smile, you are still awake, you're still there. 1 million people did not get up in the morning and you woke up. And for many millions of people, somebody who's dear to them did not wake up. So just check those 5, 6 people around you. They all woke up, wow, it's a fantastic day. You woke up and everybody who matters to you around you woke up. Is it not fantastic day?
Yes.
You don't think so?
Yes. Yes.
You don't seem to think so.
Yes.
Because the problem is just this, you are living with an idea that you're immortal. When I say you're immortal, you're not actually thinking you're immortal, but you're not conscious of your mortality. If you're not conscious of your mortality, somewhere you think you're immortal, isn't it? How many moments in a day are you conscious that you're mortal? If you were conscious, would you have time to crib? Would you have time to fight with somebody? Would you have time to do some rubbish with your life? If you knew, if you are conscious that you are mortal, you would do nothing other than what is absolutely needed for you and everybody around you. This one thing if you do, If you just remind yourself, you don't think this is a negative thing. Death is not a negative thing. It's the only thing which has added value to your life. If you're here forever, you would be unbearable.
Yes, yes.
Isn't it? Aren't we glad everybody dies one day? If you just become conscious of this one thing, that always you're conscious that I'm mortal. You don't have to think, I will die today, we don't intend, we want to live as far as possible. Just you know, one day I will die. If you're just conscious of this one thing, you will naturally become spiritual. You will not become spiritual by thinking about God, you will become unrealistic, hallucinatory. You will start talking to somebody, you will start doing all kinds of things. Already people, they have earphones on and they're talking, you don't know whether they've lost it or they… 10 years ago, if somebody was walking on the street talking, you would know that he's lost. But today you don't know whether they got their headphones on and they just lost it and they're talking, we cannot make out. But if you are conscious that you are mortal every moment of your life, spiritual process has begun for you. So one of the main reasons, one of the fundamental reasons why that all these things have to be taught to you, that she's repeatedly asking this question, were you born special, did you have normal birth or not, is simply because most people have forgotten they're mortal. They think they're immortal. They may not actually think they're immortal, but they're not conscious they're mortal. With every step, with every breath, if they were conscious of this, you know how consciously they would live? They would become fantastic. It is your mortality which makes you want to know what is the nature of your existence. You really want to know where you came from, where you will go. Only when it sinks into you, all this drama, poof, one day it will end. But right now you think only others appear in obituary columns, you are only going to read it.
That is simply beautiful.
That's all that's needed. If you want to know the value of life, just know that it's a brief happening. The time that you spend here as life, it's a very relative experience. If you're truly joyful and ecstatic, it's horribly brief, believe me. I feel like I was born day before yesterday, see already how I've become. Okay?
Yes.
But on a particular day, if you're depressed or miserable,
It seems
one day seems like an endless thing. So, only miserable people have a long life.
Yes.
If you're a joyful, ecstatic person, life is always brief. If you live to be 100, it's still very brief for what possibilities a human being carries. For the immensity of what a human being is, it's too brief a life. If you're given 100 years, 200 years, it's still too brief, because before you know what's happening, before you explore a few dimensions of life, it'll be over. It'll be over, okay? Only miserable people have a very long life, they feel it's very long.